going to start with a discussion of Ubuntu with the capital letter U. Right. Usually we start a sentence with a capital letter, so I'm going to start with Ubuntu with a capital letter U. And I'm introducing this distinction because those of you who have a chance to read anything on Ubuntu will often realize after this discussion that sometimes we can lose an important distinction. And I think the most important way to capture this distinction is to think of one in terms of Ubuntu, capitalized form. And often what you'd find in written literature, because Ubuntu is not an English word, what scholars do, they simply italicize it. And so that is significant because it only reports to you that it's not an English word. But what it does, it hides the ambiguity, the complexity of the term. So to disambiguate the term, I introduce this distinction. And so when we talk about the first form of Ubuntu, we think of it as a worldview, right? A particular way of understanding and approaching and interpreting the world. This is important because there is a plethora of approaches to interpret the world. In this sense, when we think of Ubuntu, you think of Ubuntu as a worldview, or you can think of it as a system, a particular way of thinking. And I use the word system here, connected. And it's when you connect these elements that you'll understand how a particular people conceive the world. That's why I think of it as a system of thought. But it's an organized way of thinking, right? Or some people refer to it as a philosophy. Broadly, it refers to a philosophy. So in other words, when we talk of Ubuntu in the capitalized form, we're actually talking of African philosophy. Now we are talking about a philosophy associated with people from Africa. Right? So it's a broad category that refers to how a particular people or culture or a linguistic group approaches, conceives the world, interprets the world, as it were. All right. So in other words, when you go to Germany and you are not a German, and when you start reading the literature in Germany, you start picking up a particular pattern of thought. You start picking up particular intuitions, particular assumptions. You'll find particular way of framing ideas, particular ways of arguing, right? All of that is what you may think of as a worldview, right? And when you leave the Germans and you go to the East and you go to the Chinese, you'll find a particular way of reflecting, right? So those is what we might think of as systems of thought. So in this sense, when you talk of Ubuntu, you're actually talking about of a system of thought that is characteristic of the Bantu peoples, right? The Bantu peoples. And this system of thought is what we describe as Ubuntu. So by philosophy, I mean a field of study that is characterized by three things. Call them dimensions here, characterized by three things. And I think all these three things capture the essence of philosophy. You can't talk meaningfully of a philosophy without these three. On the one hand, philosophy deals broadly with the question of what is real, what is reality, right? Or as a famous German philosopher Leibniz asked the question, why is there something rather than nothing? That's a question about reality, right? Everywhere around us, we are confronted by things. You're confronted by human beings, you're confronted by clouds, you're confronted by all kinds of things. So thingness seems to be the state of the world. But then he asks that fundamental question, ontological question, right? Why is there something rather than nothing? That very question is loaded because it assumes that in the catalog of things, you've got two. You've got things and you've got nothing. Even when you try to talk of no thing, you still have to talk of things, right? But it's a question about reality. It's a question about reality. So within this umbrella of reality, it's a plethora of things. So some of the fundamental questions philosophers ask are questions about God. Does God exist? It's an ontological question. In other words, when you open the curtain of the world, is one of the things that you're going to discover in the world. Is God one of those things? And then philosophers will provide rational arguments to justify why they believe there's a God. But many other questions. You can ask questions about time. What is time? I mean, not asking you what time is it. I'm asking that abstract question, this thing that we call time, what is it? Can you explain this thing called time, right? So if you point to a watch, you're not talking about a time. You're talking about what we use to measure time. Time exists outside of a watch. In fact, it seems that the watch requires time, but time does not require the watch. So Ubuntu itself has got its own understanding of reality, right? Own understanding of reality. And the second dimension of philosophy is epistemology. Not only are we confronted with the question of reality, there's a question of knowledge as well. There's a question of knowledge as well. And these two questions seem to be interconnected in some way, but I'm not interested in that. So there's this idea that we are familiar with things and we know them. Right now I'm speaking, we know them. But what do we mean? What do we mean by knowledge? What constitutes knowledge? What constitutes knowledge? What's a relationship between knowledge and truth? And so all that is a dimension of knowledge. And there are different systems of thinking about epistemology. Ubuntu has its own epistemology as well. And another aspect of philosophy is what we call axiology. Axiology concerns questions of values and morality, right? Questions of morality. The question, the good. When you say something is wrong, when you say some event or some person is evil, right? You are invoking moral terms, right? But often moral terms exist within particular ethical system or moral systems, right? And there's a variety of moral systems. And Ubuntu ethics as well embodies its own moral system. Now, I want to move to Ubuntu with a small letter U. This one is going to be a small one. This is slide number 5. The non-capitalized form of it refers to, so Ubuntu in this sense, you can say so-and-so has Ubuntu. So in this sense, Ubuntu is something that a person has or a person may not have. So in other words, you look at a human being and one of the observations or judgments you can make is say, yo, she has Ubuntu, or she does not have Ubuntu. So typically, when a person is generous, when a person is loving, when a person is kind, when a person is empathetic, altruistic, the expression that she has Ubuntu would be appropriate. But when a person is evil, selfish, inconsiderate, cruel, then the expression she does not have Ubuntu is appropriate. So you see that these two distinct senses of Ubuntu, the first form, and so in this sense, Ubuntu is something that we achieve. We're not born with it. We achieve it. And we achieve it. It's a merit term. It's a merit term. So when we say you have Ubuntu, we're actually praising you for the quality of character, of your character disposition. The one sense of Ubuntu is a property of a culture, a cultural group. So when you get to many parts of the Bantu people in Africa, when you talk of Ubuntu, you're actually talking about how in the culture, their philosophical system or their systems of thought or their worldview, or because you go to China, they'll say, no, it's Confucianism, right? So when you go to German, they'll say, no, there's German philosophy, which has got this tradition of thinkers, right? If you go to the US, they may say, no, we're influenced by Dewey's pragmatism. That's a particular worldview or any other view that they may subscribe to. But when you come to this part of the world, they'll say, no, our approach is Ubuntu, right? Our approach is Ubuntu. So it's a property of a culture, a cultural group, associated with their language and associated with how they think of reality and how they think of knowledge and how they think of morals. The other one is a property of a person, right? So we are making judgments of the quality of a person's character. Is this. When you encounter the literature on Ubuntu, be careful to note the distinction between Ubuntu as a philosophy, which is a broad category, and Ubuntu as a property of an individual, which is a narrow category.